Look closely at the vehicles parked outside any average corporate building, and you will discover a hidden financial illusion. Consider Marcus, who glides into his designated workspace at precisely 8:45 each morning, steering a glossy, dark metallic Audi Q7 that arrived via a dealership contract just under a year ago. His monthly obligation sits at $825 on a fixed 36-month agreement. He intentionally selects the most prominent parking spot adjacent to the main glass double doors, not for ease of entry, but specifically because that vehicle remains perfectly visible from the
third-floor executive room where his department gathers for every strategy briefing. Marcus operates within corporate advertising.
His annual salary sits at $95,000. Whenever prospective accounts tour the facility, he volunteers to guide them toward the exit gates, ensuring they catch a direct glimpse of that premium SUV along the way. That European vehicle represents far more than simple commuting. It functions as a physical calling card constructed from high-end manufacturing and steep recurring invoices he can scarcely clear each month. Meanwhile, Elena positions her automobile in the extreme rear boundary of that identical concrete lot at 8:15 every single morning.
Her daily transportation is a basic 29th generation Honda Accord she acquired pre-owned 3 years back for $21,500 in cash.
There is a small scuff mark along the left side panel which she chooses to ignore completely, simply because it bears absolutely zero impact on how the machine operates.
Elena shares the exact same workspace building as Marcus, serving as the Director of Internal Logistics.
Her annual compensation balances out at $115,000.
Marcus possesses a cumulative net worth of roughly $16,000 once you tally his consumer credit lines, his binding vehicle lease, a high-rate signature loan from an international
spring cruise, and an employee retirement account holding $8,100 to which he allocates a meager 2% of his paycheck. Conversely, Elena maintains a net worth exceeding $1.2 million. Marcus projects immense wealth. Elena possesses genuine wealth. They share a roof during working hours. Their earnings sit within a highly comparable bracket. Yet the massive chasm dividing their economic positions is forged by a multi-year sequence of completely opposing choices. Can you guess where this foundational divergence initially manifested? The vehicle selection represents the exact point where their financial trajectories fractured.
This breakdown analyzes why the most affluent citizens across the nation routinely navigate traffic in vehicles that would completely catch you off guard.
They do not make these choices because they lack the capital to purchase luxury, but because their core understanding of money is so completely separated from standard consumer patterns that
Automobile transforms into a direct physical manifestation of the exact economic theory that allowed them to accumulate millions.
Let us unpack the data. The median amount paid by established millionaires for their most recent automobile transaction hovered around $31,400. For individuals clearing a net worth of $10 million or higher, that transaction figure only scaled to $41,900.
That specific insight originates from comprehensive national wealth collection surveys, examining the behaviors of wealthy families over multiple decades.
Let us contrast that reality with standard consumer habits. The typical transaction price for a standard new car in the modern market has surged past $48,000.
Read that carefully. The typical citizen is funding a far more expensive automotive purchase than the self-made millionaire next door.
Comprehensive automotive registration metrics show that 61% of domestic households earning above $250,000 annually navigate their commutes in everyday.
Brands like Toyotas, Hondas, and Fords, 61%. These are individuals commanding $250 million in annual income who could instantly sign a check for a premium Land Rover. Yet the vast majority choose to navigate highways in a standard
Civic, a basic Camry, or a classic work truck, Only 39% of those high-earning households opted for luxury nameplates at all. The absolute leading automotive brand among verified millionaires is Toyota, immediately followed by Honda and Ford.
Famous premium brands like Mercedes or BMW fail to appear until the fourth and fifth positions on the list.
Furthermore, only 23% of these wealthy individuals occupied an automobile from the current production cycle.
The historical data points out that over half of them operated vehicles exceeding 2 full years of age.
The typical millionaire operates an automobile that is roughly 4 years old with approximately 42,000 miles on the odometer.
These are not citizens locked out of buying showroom models. These are individuals who fully comprehend an economic reality that standard modern culture trains people to overlook.
Vehicles represent the single most destructive wealth, devouring engine in the consumer ecosystem outside of real estate.
And unlike real estate, which at least carries a baseline probability of appreciating as time moves forward, an automobile undergoes a massive drop in value the precise minute you ink the final.
Dealership paperwork, a brand new car surrenders roughly 20% of its total equity within the initial 12 months.
By the 5th year of ownership, it has surrendered nearly 40%. By the 7th year, the vast majority of consumer vehicles retain less than 1/3 of their initial window sticker value.
The average domestic automobile invoice climbed to $767 monthly, with an alarming volume of citizens maintaining payments north of $1,000.
7-year payment schedules are being widely accepted as normal.
Consequently, millions of commuters are issuing payments on an asset that is worth significantly less than their outstanding principal loan for the absolute majority of the timeline.
They are trapped in negative equity.
They owe more than the asset is worth, and they pour this massive sum into a depreciating item month after month, instead of funneling those exact dollars into compounding investments that actually expand. Let us look directly at the math, because the math is where this reality becomes incredibly harsh. Marcus leases his premium crossover at $839 every single month.
Throughout his 36-month lease duration, he surrenders over $30,000 to the finance company. At the expiration date, he owns absolutely nothing.
He surrenders the keys and immediately registers a fresh lease because stepping down to an ordinary sedan would feel like a massive social demotion.
He will perpetuate this cycle for nearly 30 years of his employment timeline, distributing an average of $800 monthly for an asset he will never truly possess.
Elena purchased her practical sedan for $22,400 using outright cash.
She intends to operate that vehicle for a full 8 years. Her comprehensive cost of ownership, accounting for routine service, insurance variances, and the initial purchase amount, breaks down to roughly $330 monthly across her timeline. At the 8-year mark, the car remains highly operational. She divests it for $9,000, acquires an alternate pre-owned sedan for $23,000, and restarts the sequence. The monthly operational variance between the strategy Marcus uses and the framework Elena applies is precisely $500. $500 every month.
If you redirect that exact $500 monthly variance into an index fund yielding an 8% historic return across 30 years, that capital expands into approximately $745,000. Think about that number for a second. $745,000.
That is a concrete mathematical certainty representing the real financial chasm between an $800 commitment and a $300 commitment optimized over a professional
Timeline, the choice between an impressive car and true financial options is absolute. It is the core determinant between entering your later years with true sovereignty or entering them with severe financial dread.
It is the direct output of the asset resting in your driveway right now that you selected primarily based on how it would project your image to external observers. Elena's $1 million portfolio did not manifest from an esoteric trading blueprint or a massive family trust. Comprehensive national wealth studies reveal that 88% of active millionaires are entirely self-made.
Elena matches that exact profile.
She generated her financial security inside the positive margin between what she commands in salary and what she releases in lifestyle spending. And the automobile is the exact boundary where she preserves the largest portion of that margin. Her vehicular discipline alone is directly responsible for roughly $600,000 of her accumulated net worth, representing over half of her entire financial footprint from a single
Structural choice made decades ago and consistently replicated every 8 years.
The underlying data points out that 94% of wealthy individuals consistently exist far below their maximum financial capacity.
Only 31% of them averaged six-figure compensations throughout their professional timelines. In fact, 1/3 of these millionaires never crossed a $100,000 annual salary in any single working year.
The leading 5 career tracks among these wealthy individuals were identified as engineer, certified accountant, school teacher, mid-level manager, and attorney. Educators, a group universally viewed as structurally underpaid, materialized on these wealth rosters far more frequently than high. And medical specialists or technology founders because the
Specific career path never dictates the final outcome.
The positive savings margin dictates the outcome, and the automobile is the exact point where the average consumer completely destroys that margin.
While this analysis does not constitute formal financial counseling, it is vital to understand why the vehicle category stands out among all areas of consumer spending as the ultimate divider of
Economic fates, there are 3 core drivers at play here. The primary driver is absolute scale.
A vehicular payment typically ranks as the second largest recurring line item in a standard household budget, trailing only behind housing costs.
A monthly drain of $767 exceeds what the typical household spends on monthly nutritional groceries.
It outpaces what most families invest or save.
When this single column is artificially inflated by hundreds of dollars beyond what is fundamentally required for safe transit, the excess luxury consumption completely suffocates all other healthy economic habits. You can systematically terminate every digital subscription, prepare all your meals at home, pack your standard lunchbox daily, and negotiate every utility bill, yet the collective savings
generated from those minor adjustments cannot neutralize the massive gap between a modest $400 car payment and an inflated $900 luxury alternative.
The vehicle is the primary boulder. The morning lattes are merely tiny pebbles. Most mass-market financial guidance fixates entirely on the pebbles because pebbles feel far easier to micro-manage. The primary boulder is where the actual wealth is either preserved or surrendered. The secondary driver is structural duration. And like an expensive vacation, a high-end dinner, or a designer coat, an automotive invoice locks your capital away for multiple years. 60 months, 72 months, 84 months. It is an automatic extraction from your earnings operating silently on a continuous loop for nearly a decade. Because it is completely automated, your psychology fully adapts to it. By the 6th month of ownership, you cease to consciously process the pain of the debit.
It becomes a fixed feature of your financial landscape, and you reshape your remaining habits around its existence, accepting it as an inescapable tax on living.
Except it is completely fluid.
It was a singular decision executed across a brief afternoon at a sales desk that now drains hundreds of dollars from your banking profile every single month for 7 years while the metal asset
Secured surrenders half its structural worth. The tertiary driver is intense peer pressure. No alternative consumer item carries the exact same level of external identity projection as your vehicle. Your automobile is witnessed by your immediate neighbors, your corporate peers, your romantic partners, the commercial parking attendant, and your extended family when you arrive at holiday gatherings. It broadcasts a highly specific narrative regarding your perceived status, your internal compensation, and your level of societal achievement.
That narrative is almost entirely a work of fiction, yet the observing audience possesses no method to verify the reality.
The public views a premium sedan and immediately infers luxury success. The public views an older, compact car and immediately assumes modest survival.
The social calculations surrounding vehicle ownership are so deeply rooted in modern culture that the vast majority of citizens would actively choose to be entirely broke in a beautiful vehicle,
rather than completely solvent in a plain one. Marcus represents the epitome of this cultural pattern. His luxury SUV demands $839 monthly, supplemented by $347 in insurance costs since high, and imports command steep premium ratings.
Plus top-tier fuel requirements adding substantial extra costs each month, his aggregated monthly automotive outflow crosses $1,200 against a $94,000 base salary.
That means roughly 15% of his pre-tax compensation streams directly into an aggressively wasting asset.
Traditional financial frameworks generally state that total transit costs should remain firmly underneath 10% of your gross earnings.
Marcus exists 50% above that safety threshold every month for 3 straight years before resetting the clock.
Elena's aggregate monthly automotive footprint, smoothed out across her full timeline of ownership, balances at roughly $480, accounting for depreciation, insurance, fuel,
and standard upkeep against her $115,000 income that tracks at approximately 5% of her gross salary.
She operates at exactly half the traditional ceiling. The variance between 5% and 15% on a standard professional income scales to roughly $300 annually.
That represents an annual transfer of wealth away from Marcus's retirement future directly to the automotive dealership, the insurance corporation, and the fuel utility occurring year after year.
Simultaneously, Elena takes that identical $300 and consistently funnels it into a broad market index fund that compounds quietly until the terminal balance defies ordinary
Expectations. Consider a profound insight highlighted in classic wealth literature regarding a specific category of millionaires labeled as pre-owned automobile shoppers.